Top 10 richest people of all time. And it's not who you think it is. Number 10. Muammar Gaddafi. Peak net worth $212 billion. In 2011, Libyan officials estimated that deposed leader Colonel Gaddafi squirreled away $200 billion in secret bank accounts. He was known for having a harem of 200 security guards, all virgin women. Number 9. Henry Ford, $199 billion. One of the major figures in American business history, Henry Ford was able to put together a net worth totaling just under $200 billion. Ford, of course, is known for founding Ford Motor Company and bringing automobiles to the masses, a transportation revolutionary and a trailblazer in industry and business. Number 8. Jacob Fugger, peak net worth $277 billion. Fittingly dubbed Jacob the Rich, this banker, merchant, and mining pioneer was Europe's richest man during the early 16th century. His enormous wealth enabled him to influence the politics of the time, funding the rise of the Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian I, as well as bankrolling the Spanish King Charles V. Number 7. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, peak net worth $300 billion. Ill-fated Nicholas Romanov ruled over the Russian Empire from 1894 to 1917, during which time he had full access to the nation's coffers, making him one of the richest monarchs in history. Not one to redistribute his wealth, a 1916 estimate of the Tsar's personal fortune equates to $300 billion in today's money. Number 6. Andrew Carnegie, peak net worth $337 billion. Carnegie safely is called the richest American in history. A past Scottish immigrant, he has become the largest producer of iron and steel rails in the world. In 1901, he sold his steel empire for $480 million. In those days, equivalent to 2.1% of the US GDP, or $372 billion in terms of today's money. Number 5. John D. Rockefeller, peak net worth $367 billion. Rockefeller began to invest in the oil industry in 1863, and by 1880 his company Standard Oil controlled 90% of oil production in the United States. According to the obituary in the newspaper New York Times in 1918, Rockefeller owned $1.5 billion, that is 2% of the volume of goods manufactured in the United States that year. If you recalculate this sum in today's money, 2% is $341 billion. Emperor Mansu Musa, peak net worth $415 billion. Mansa, the supreme ruler of Mali, Musa, is known that during his pilgrimage to Mecca he was accompanied by 60,000 to 80,000 people, and all of the camels were loaded with gold. Actually, at the time, Mali was the largest gold producer in the world. Similarly, it is impossible to assess the state of Musa, but he definitely was the richest man of the people who ever lived on that side of the world. Number 3. Augustus Caesar, peak net worth $4.63 trillion. The first Roman emperor who ruled the vast empire from 27 BC until his death in AD 14 boasted a personal fortune equivalent to 20% of the entire empire's economy, worth $4.63 trillion nowadays. At one point, Augustus even owned Egypt. Number 2. Emperor Shen Sung, peak net worth $30+ trillion. The then China has been one of the most economically developed countries in their time. The reason is in the development of technologies, innovation and production that occurred in China in the era of Sung compared with industrialization in Europe. Number 1. Genghis Khan, net worth hundreds of trillions. Individually, he owned one of the greatest empires in the world. Genghis Khan was an incredibly talented commander. Heading the Mongol Empire, which stretched from China to Eastern Europe, he ruled the largest continental empire of those which have ever existed. Ironically, Genghis Khan did not accumulate wealth. On the contrary, his generosity was the foundation of his power.